Brent Hubbs.
Coach, obviously you got more bodies back there now than you certainly had in the spring. How is this thing shaking out? Where do you think you are right now in terms of finding your 5 or 6 guys?
We've just been doing a good job of rotating. We want to find out about a lot of guys that we don't know about. You know what I mean? Some of the guys that weren't with us in the spring that played last year, whether that's Kamal or Burrell or Ruck, Turnage. We knew that they were going to be in some rotation. So we've really just been rotating with there's really not ones, there's not twos, there's not threes. You know what I mean? We're just really trying to get them reps, competitive reps. In practice, trying to get the matchups that we would like to, so we can get an evaluation on each player. So it's been good because we've been able to play more guys with a lot more reps.
Rob DeNapp.
Coach, Christian Charles is a guy started off as safety last year, moved to corner in the spring. What's that transition like, and is he home at corner now for good, do you think?
Christian's the type of player that we want to continue to recruit, meaning where he's very versatile and can play all the positions on the back end. And that gives us some flexibility, and he's transitioned very well. He's obviously made progress from the standpoint of when that transition happened in the spring. Very raw and non-developed of understanding to play the corner position. And he's done a nice job in the off season, in the summertime. That's really prepared him for camp. He looks like a different player, much more aware of certain situations, and the situational part is the down and distances and how he's going to line up, what's he looking for. It does happen a lot faster out there, and he's adjusted really well.
Couple questions at the star position. Is it McDonald and Walker? Is that the main two, or is it?
Yeah, it's T-Mac. Obviously, it's Wesley. We also are rotating, Trey there. So it's been, like I said just a little while ago, is trying to get them the reps at the first group, second group, and mixing it up.
In the star position, a nickel is sort of a throwaway position in some schemes. For you guys, it was utilized tremendously last year. Theo was all conference at that position. Why is that position so important in your scheme?
Because you're involved in both sides of the game as far as the run game. You're also defending arguably the fastest player on their team in the slot. Trying to get the ball in the middle of the field. He's got to be able to defend all the perimeter screens that hurt. Maybe a player that can make really has the strengths as far as a cover guy, but not so much against taking off the blocks and getting off blocks and playing physical in the alley and also getting in the run game between the tackles. So he's a dynamic, has to be a dynamic player, has to be the best or one of your best players because he's going to be involved, again, both in the run game and in the passing game.
Austin Bates.
Coach, can you just kind of take me through the progression from D. Williams from spring to now? How much have you seen him kind of understand, grow, and kind of where do you feel like he's at?
Obviously when he came in here, he didn't know the scheme and the knowledge and adapting from a junior college. You're always going to have a tremendous transition there. It's going to be something where, you're going to have to go through some growing pains. And coming in January, though, gives them the opportunity to learn, obviously to manage, college life on this campus and academically, plus football and how to manage it. He had to learn the playbook, so coming in here, obviously learning it before spring, during spring, after spring, all the walkthroughs we've had. And then he looks like a different player. He can get lined up. Knows a little bit, he knows a lot more what his job entails, and he's more comfortable. He's made more plays. He's more confident, and he's growing. He's doing a good job this camp.
Willie, what can you tell us about the skill set and development of your two transfers in Walker and Turrentine?
Yeah, athleticism is the first thing that comes. Versatility. Again, I said it earlier with Christian Charles. They give us an opportunity to be flexible in who we want to move around and both athletic. Obviously, Wes played more than Dre, and So that shows, but that's not a knock on Dre because he's made some plays and looks very comfortable. Each day he looks more comfortable in knowing what to do.
Patrick and Eric.
Willie, you talked about wanting to learn more about guys you didn't know a lot about. You knew a little bit about Wesley and Andre when they got here. What have you learned over the first almost 2 weeks of camp about what they can do?
How competitive they are. You don't really see. You'll see the skill sets. You'll see how tough a kid is on film, but the attention to detail in the meeting rooms, you can tell that it's important to them. They don't want to go on the field, not knowing what to do. They ask question after question prior to coming on the field, double checking, triple checking. The attention to detail. I mean, that's the stuff you don't really see on video. You'll see the instincts, but they've done a nice job where they've given themselves a chance to know what to do in our system. And that's been the impressive part.
Are they getting work at multiple positions, both those guys?
Wes is. Dre's kind of like we've been bouncing him from strong and free, but Wes has been doing all three. The star, and obviously he played that at the previous stop and did a really nice job. So, but they've done a nice job. They really have. They've picked up. They have actually understand the standards and expectations in this program, and they fit really well in our room. They got some leadership qualities. And again, Dre is young. I mean, I know Wes is a little bit older, but they've done a great job.
Right here. How has Tamari McDonald grown over the last year, and is he turning into a guy as he continues to develop that you guys can kind of count on to help you out this year?
Yeah, T-Mac was very consistent in our special teams last year, and we say it all the time that if you can make plays in space, and that's what those four teams do for you, it gives you a chance to be a player on offense and defense. And it's what it's done. It's just built confidence. He played a little bit defensive snaps last year. When he did get in there, did a nice job. But there's a lot more confidence. He understands our system better. But again, he's been a really good special teams player for us, which kind of the adjustment, it's easy to make it. He knows it's all about field awareness and leverage and making plays in space. And obviously it starts with tackling and then obviously trying to play coverages, and whether it's man or zone coverage. So he looks very comfortable,
With spring, I mean, he was one of the only guys that could rep that spot in spring. Was that a big growth period for him just because out of necessity?
Yeah, we did that on purpose. We wanted to give him the most reps right there. He knew strong and free, and but now we're moving him around a little bit, to give so he can still play with the first group, or we'll move him around.
Kelly in the back.
Hey, Coach, I know you just spoke on a couple of those transfers, but have there been any other newcomers or veteran guys who have stuck out to you so far in camp when it comes to either taking the next step or doing some really good things out there?
Yeah, the other new guys is Jordan Thomas and Christian Harrison. I'll stay with JT. JT's done a great job. Really, he's coming off a really good scrimmage where he really showed what he can do, and very comfortable. And with those two guys, again, I can't say enough of good things about them. Just like the ones we were talking about with Dre and Wesley, is how important the small details are, And they've been really did a great job. Both of them were not here at mid-year, came here in June. They had to learn it. They knew that they were behind reps on the guys that have been here since January, and it's important to them. They're still growing, but. We had a little bit of setback with Christian, but he'll be back here in the next couple of days, and he's really done a nice job and early on in camp.
Wes.
Yeah, Eric took my question, so I'll try another one here. What kind of offseason did Kamal have, and how much is it sort of hurting him to be out right now with the season approaching?
I'll answer the second one. It hurts every player that doesn't get the reps, especially it doesn't matter where, but when you're dealing with an offense, as fast as ours, it really helps you get in shape too, and to think through the process and stuff. So it hurts any player that doesn't get the reps and get the feel for what it does to your body and what it does to your mind and how it challenges you. But going back to how Kamal is done, I mean, he's a different person. He's a different player. You know, he's really grown. I'll start off with off the field. You know, it's academics. It's in the strength and conditioning. You know, he had a great summer. Obviously, he was coming off the injury. He's been locked in the meetings, preparing, so to speak, and does a good job when he's not in there. As far as keeping the energy going. But he's grown. He's grown tremendously since he's been here. You know, he's only been here just a little bit over, basically been here 13 months, you know, and he's coming off of an injury that kind of set him back a little bit from developing. And to come back from that and obviously where he's at right now, he's given us a chance to build our depth in the back end.
Willie, how deep realistically would you like to go? I know you said earlier you don't really have ones and twos at this point. You're putting every guys in competitive situations. As you draw closer to the season, how deep do you think you can go with guys in terms of playing them meaningful reps on Saturdays?
We really want to play more guys. We kind of trying to force ourselves in pushing these guys, and then obviously myself as a coach to continue to pour in as much as I can to make sure they understand what we're doing in our scheme and stuff like that. And they got to prove it on the field. Ideal, we would like to play at least, 3 to 4 corners, 3 to 4 safeties. If anything, it would be 5. If you get that 4 to 5 in those positions, and obviously stars in there, but I would say we can do that. That would give us a chance to play, the league, in this league, and obviously if somebody gets hurt, somebody can just bounce right back in there, and it's like next man mentality, and they're ready to play.
And one more thing on Tamarian McDonald. Before you saw him on special teams, did you think he could play star athletically? Did you believe that, or did you think he was more of a safety type, and the special teams play showed you that he could play that critical star position?
Well, the one thing you love about T-Mac is how good he looks in a body. You know what I mean? He's got a great body type, long. So really didn't know much about him when we got here, and I think he was more of a box player in high school. And what I mean by that is in between the tackles, whether it's a safety, linebacker, or whatever the case might be. And obviously when you start talking about the star, you're dealing with more space. And it wasn't until we actually saw him, and got a chance to work with him. And you can see how much he's grown here in the last 6-7 months, where he's really, really challenged himself to work on his man technique and understands leverage, Obviously, that was the great thing about Theo. Theo, with all that experience he had, older player, he understood where his help is at, and play the situation that off the calls, you know what I mean, and know where your help is at. He's starting to learn that. He has a good understanding of that to play with his teammates. You know what I mean, as far as where's his leverage and where's his and where it's not.
Last question, Ryan. Patrick,
Brandon Turnage, you talked about earlier how much time away from the field can hurt. Obviously he missed the spring and missed some time this summer. I think a little bit. How much that set him back or limit his development this offseason? Where does he still need to grow to put himself in position to win a job?
With Brandon, it's really not so much the mental part. Brandon's a really smart player. He knows every position on the back end. I mean, he really does. I mean, you can line him up there, and if something happens, he'd know exactly what to do at strong safety or free safety or corner or star, dime. I mean, he understands the game, and it's very important. So really just to get back on the field and get the reps he needs to continue to develop his techniques, fundamentals, and that's really great to see him out there and being able to do that again. He's got great energy. It's nonstop. He's coaching players as they're when he's on the sideline, when they come off the sideline. He's got great. I mean, he's got a smile on his face. It's really good in our room because, as you know, leadership is needed in every room and in every phase of our program, and he's one of those guys that does it by setting the example.
Coach?
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach.